Hi, good morning. I'm Denise Plant, and welcome to Colorado & Company. We have a very exciting show to kick off our Friday, and we begin our hour with a look at the science and artistry of living beautifully. Now, when you look good on the outside, you feel good on the inside. And for over 3 decades, Grossman Plastic Surgery has been committed to excellence in the intricate art of cosmetic surgery. Dr. John A. Grossman was one of the first plastic surgeons. Sound Surgical Technologies, the manufacturers of the VASER Lipo System, approach to use its system here. 8 years later, with over 100,000 VASER Lipo procedures performed by physicians all across the world, Dr. Grossman is still considered by the company to be one of its experts on the procedure. And he joins me now. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing fabulous. It's nice to see you again.
And you?
You know, you started in Colorado in 1975. It's changed an awful lot over the years. What do you think the biggest change has been, Dr. Grossman?
In plastic surgery. Well, there's so many changes, of course, and among those major changes are all the non-surgicals, the injectables like Botox and fillers and lasers. But liposuction, with the advance of VASER liposuction, liposelection, is perhaps among the most important developments in cosmetic plastic surgery, and certainly in the 30 years that I've been in practice.
And you brought the VASER today, so you're going to introduce me to it and kind of explain to me why it's so different, what the advances are.
Well, liposuction, when I first learned how to do it and did it back in the early 1980s, was really a gross sort of technique. If you saw it occur, you'd say, oh my, as I did when I first saw it demonstrated, I said, gee, this will never catch on. Obviously, I was wrong. But even in those early days, it was rough, it was imprecise. While it was a form of sculpting, it was not elegant. And so the development first of pure ultrasonic liposuction brought some advances, but with those advances were some complications like burns and so on. So that was a high-power liposuction period. The VASER, developed here in Colorado, really changed that because it's a low-power ultrasound. It allows us to fill the tissues with fluid and then go in and selectively liquefy, release the fat cell so that we turn it from being a chunk of fat to an emulsion, and then we suction that out. So we can really be precise. In addition, the ultrasound qualities, the properties, heats the skin to a degree and causes the skin to shrink.
And you know what, Doctor? This is the perfect time to introduce us to this because summer's right around the corner and everybody's going to start showing more skin and we want to look good.
Let me reach back here and...
Going to turn on the VASER. And tell me what's in the jar that you brought here today, the glass.
Well, this is Crisco.
I have a lot of that on my thighs.
And while we don't frequently liposuction and VASER Crisco, it's a good way of demonstrating the emulsification process that occurs when we put the probe in. You see what it's doing to the water, ultrasound, and then if we apply it to the Crisco, you notice
it's going right
how
through.
we're taking the Crisco and we're making it, emulsifying it into little microscopic bubbles of Crisco. And then if this were somebody's fat, once we had sufficiently liquefied that fat, we would then take a traditional but very fine cannula and suction that liquefied fat out, and we would end up with a sculpted area as opposed to just an area devoid of some of its fat.
That is so cool. That is really amazing. What the advancements in technology, it just blows me away. What areas does this work best on?
It works best on virtually any area where we have sufficient amount of fat. So from head to toe, from the areas of the face, but in particular the area under the neck, as we'll see shortly, the upper body, the breasts, the tummy, the thighs.
Right here.
The butt.
That's what I'm worried about.
The saddlebags.
The saddlebags.
And we can even take it to an extreme where we can take somebody who works out regularly, wants to look even more buff, have that six-pack, but has never been able to develop it, and we can sculpt to the point of giving them that six-pack, that sculpted waist and abdomen, that sculpted back. So,
okay. Well, let's take a look at the before and afters that you're looking at.
Now, so we can take it from the very subtle, like this, and you look here, we have taken the buttocks and the thigh area, and we've given them some more youthful shape. All very subtle, absence of saddlebags, upper inner thighs. The same thing on the outer side, the profile view, where we see the better shape of the buttocks. Instead of sort of sitting up, it's got a much rounder shape. Here's a tummy where this patient really needs a tummy tuck. Has that flap of skin, but money didn't allow her to do this. So we instead took the VASER and we liposuction, liposelected this entire abdomen. And while we didn't and can't tighten muscles with this process, we now have a flat tummy without that flap of skin and fat that has to be tucked into your slacks.
As you said, it's more affordable than a tummy tuck.
Exactly.
Okay, and this...
And the recovery is very different. Now look at the rolls of on the back here. Here we have both fat and lax skin, and we've been able to virtually eliminate that. And you'll see in another view just how we've changed that body from a chubby, thick body with rolls and fat to a sleek and elegant figure.
And tell me, how long does the procedures normally, how many treatments does it take to get this?
Basically
just one treatment?
This gentleman, we've actually suctioned the rest of his body, but here from just doing this area under the chin in a matter of minutes, we've changed him from an older looking stodgy man to what he really is a young guy with a nicely sleek chin, jaw and neckline.
Taken years off of his appearance.
Absolutely.
Can you do any of these procedures without general anesthesia?
You know, if we're doing the entire body or some significant areas, I recommend doing it with the patient asleep for comfort for both doctor and patient. But we certainly can do smaller areas, the area under the chin, an isolated area of the arms or the tummy or an area of the thighs. Those areas can be done with a local anesthetic as an outpatient very easily.
I always joke about, oh, if I could just take the fat from this part of my body and put it in another place in my body. Is that true? Can you do that with the VASER?
Absolutely. The fat cells are freed in a fashion that doesn't destroy the fat cells. So if you collect them sterilely, you can transplant them, and frequently we do. We take the fat. You know, the classic is the Brazilian butt lift, taking all of the fat we can find and put it in the buttocks to give the buttocks shape. But we do it often for the face or for the breasts or a variety of areas. So the fat cells, while living, can be moved from one place to the other, just the way we used to do hair transplants, moving a hair follicle. Here we're moving a fat cell or several fat cells from one area of the body to the other, and as long as there's good blood supply, for example in the face,
right.
This fat will live for years and years.
And what's the recovery period? I mean, can we get this done and be ready for spring?
Oh, very easily.
Okay.
I mean, the reality is, again, there are going to be various differences among patients, but I tell all of our patients that I want them physically active, going to the gym the day after surgery.
Really?
And so for people who have areas that are under their clothing, there's certainly no reason that they can't be active and in fact return to work in a matter of days. For the more extensive, certainly perhaps a week. The bruising lasts perhaps 2 to 3 weeks. And in the case of the VASER, we have less swelling, less bruising, skin contraction, faster recovery.
That's really exciting news, Dr. Grossman. What about a special that you have for our viewers who are tuning in today?
That's what's very nice, is that we have a $1,000 off on liposuction, liposelection for patients calling and mentioning that they saw us on Colorado and Company.
Great deal. And I have to tell you, I've never heard of a Brazilian butt lift.
See what you've been missing.
I learn all kinds of stuff on this show. Grossman Plastic Surgery, 303.